Hey guys, welcome to Blazing Guitars, where we talk about worship gear, music, guitar, and everything in between. My name is Blaze Nelson, and today I wanted to talk about why I think it's important that we as a worship team play excellently during our worship services. Before we jump into it, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any questions, thoughts, comments, or concerns, please leave a comment below and I will get back to you. If you want to support what I'm doing at the channel, you can do so at Patreon, which is linked in the description below. So let's jump into it. So the first reason why I think it's important to serve excellently is because we serve a God who is worthy of excellence. If you look at the Old Testament, specifically at the building of the temple and tabernacle, God asks his leaders to put craftsmen in charge who are well known at excelling at their craft, right? He asks for the best of the best. And he doesn't ask for people who are willing, and he doesn't ask for people who are available. He asks for people who are skilled and talented at what they're doing. Now, I don't think this should serve as something that should bring shame or guilt, but I think it's important to remember that we should have the heart to serve God as excellently as we can. And that may look different from me to you, right? We have different levels of availability, we have different levels of skill, we have different levels of talent. But I think what's important to remember, and a good heart to have in this, is that our heart should be to serve God excellently and well. So there's a story at the end of 2 Samuel that I think is really important concerning David. And I think David is kind of the master worship leader in the Old Testament, right? He wrote the book of Psalms, and just his heart, he was a musician, he was really passionate. So I think it's fun to look at David as an example of what we should be doing here in modern day. So at the end of 2 Samuel, God is punishing David for taking a census. The prophet Gad comes up to David and tells him that he needs to go make an offering. So David goes to this man's house. His name is Araunah, and he offers Araunah to buy his house so that he can make this sacrifice. And Araunah says, no. Take everything and I'll just give it to you and you can offer that to God. And David's response is, I will not give to my God what costs me nothing. And I think that heart is really important. We want to make sure that we're giving God the best, and we don't want to come in and just serve as an afterthought. We really want to excel. And again, I think that standard and the question that you should ask yourself is, what is the level that I can excel to? And the criteria that I've tried to set for my team is, what is one thing that we can do better than we did last week? And I think if you have that heart to excel and to grow and to get better, even if you're not in the best spot right now, or your worship might be kind of struggling, what that does is that promotes that heart of excellence. And I think that's an important thing to have in your team. So the second reason why I think it's important to serve excellently is because it promotes excellence within the church. If you think about a sports team and you think about a young player who is getting drafted, right? It would be really discouraging as a young player to get drafted to a bad team because you want to do well and you want to excel, but if you go to a bad team that's dysfunctional, then that can be really challenging to give your all to it, and it can be really hard to play, and it can be really discouraging. But if you go to a great team that's dominating, imagine the difference in excitement, right? If you're going to a dominating team, you want to bring your best, you want to excel. I think that same dynamic can be true with the church. If the church is just kind of struggling along and the worship team is not excited about it, and the serving team is just kind of showing up on Sunday and not thinking through ahead or not passionate about what they're doing, then imagine asking a new person to come into that and how easy it would be for that person to get discouraged. Whereas if your team is thriving and everybody's excited and everybody's practicing and doing well, then the difference there is extreme. So just keep that in mind. The flavor that you set for your worship team and the standards that you set for your worship team can seep into the rest of the church. We have a lady at our church who was in charge of water. And before she took over, there was just a pitcher of water that nobody thought about. But when she took over, she got this nice water cooler, and she would put cucumbers and mint and make it all nice and fancy. And it was funny the effect that had on me, because it was like, man, somebody cares about the water. That's so cool. It's fun. People care about what they're doing here. And that just helped promote further excellence on my part. Whereas, she could have just done what everybody had always done and just brought in a water jug, and that would have been fine. But instead, she upped the game and cared about it, and that helped promote other people to care about what they were doing in church as well. So that's just a small funny example, but I think it's really important to remember that you can set the tone of service at your church. The final reason why I think it's important to play excellently is because it can help your church focus on worship. If you're struggling and if you are playing wrong chords all the time and out of time and speeding up and slowing down and forgetting parts of songs, what that does is that creates a really distracted worship environment. But if you come in and you play well and you play excellently, then what that does is that frees up the church to stop worrying about what you're doing, but to fix their eyes where they should be fixed, on God. And playing excellently can promote that because it can minimize distractions, it can help people focus, it can help people stay engaged. We live in a very distracted world already as it is. So if we can help create an environment that is as distraction-free as possible, and specifically distraction-free from mistakes, then what that does is that promotes a healthier worship context and a healthier worship experience because people are focused on the right thing. So thank you so much for watching. Again, the 3 reasons why I think it's important to play excellently is because we serve a God who is worth excellence. When we play excellently, it helps promote excellence in the church, and it helps create a distraction-free worship experience. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, thoughts, comments, or concerns, again, please leave a comment below and I'll get back to you. And as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.